Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Resident Evil Sewers. And, I'm sorry. Uh, Resident Evil 2 sewer levels. Um, I'm done with sewers.
You're just a little numb.
By the time you get to
That's
the end of
even
this part,
affecting
for,
your
for
interest.
as much as I'm glad that they expanded the sewers into an actual level, by the time you get to the end of this part, you are kind of fatigued. And then by the time you get to the end of the B scenario version of it, it's like, yeah, okay, that didn't change all that much. As like they shook up the police station segments in the B scenario, but the sewer sections in the B scenario are basically the same, except for the fact that um the puzzle you have to do with the chess pieces at the end has a tougher solution in the B scenario puzzle, and that just comes down to the fact that the knight is no longer in the place that's labeled for the knight anymore. So you have to figure out where the knight should really be based on the clues given. But we have to fight the same goddamn boss, the same stupid homage to Plane Tyrant. I'm sorry.
They didn't change a lot in the second playthrough from what you were talking about, right?
It's mostly the item arrangements and the point of entry in the police station that were changed. Apart from that, not a whole lot. The sewers and the labs are basically the same as they always were, except I think the puzzle solutions again are different. But the police station, which remains the strongest part of any version of Resident Evil 2, is substantially remixed in both versions. So, oh dear. Who is keeping the massive metal barrels of gasoline in the sewers? Is that necessary? Do we need
Joker.
that? I mean, does it have something to do with the power equipment here?
Well, I mean, this is the 90s, so you could actually buy gasoline and, afford it.
Well, yeah, we saw what the
So-
gas prices were at the beginning of the fucking game. Those gas prices make me cry. $1 a gallon?
so-
Seriously?
Yeah, so I guess they just don't care, they can leave it wherever, because, it costs, only $1 a gallon?
Did you see on Twitter
Let's
the
see.
California gas prices that they were showing in that picture? It was like three
How
dollars,
much?
$3.50 something a gallon, I think, for regular.
It's gotten up that high here from time to time.
Oh, Jesus.
$1 per gallon ain't that impressive. Back in my grandfather's heyday, gas was 52 cents.
Hey, man, did you know that we're going to actually run out of gasoline by, 2040? Isn't that great?
Still alive?
That's not what the gun
Gonna have
lobby
to
says.
reinvest it. Just got to reinvest
I'm
in
sorry, I
corn.
meant to say the gas lobby, but they might as well be the same
The
thing.
gas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we need gasoline to fuel our guns.
What?
Do we need rocket flamethrowers?
What, didn't you play Alone in the Dark? That's totally how it works. Alright.
So you're siphoning gas off other guns with a hose.
Okay, and this is the same thing that we did as Claire. Just stun the thing when it's somewhere in the goddamn hit radius of the thing, and hit the button.
Hit the button. I hit the button.
Yes, that's what we're supposed
Yeah, this boss can get a little annoying.
I hate it though how whenever I throw a goddamn grenade at this thing, he always jumps out of the way. And it's not even like him avoiding the grenade, it's just bad timing on his attack animations. Let's see if I can blow him up this time. There we go. Oh hey,
did
it
it.
stunned him.
Now I got you.
That was totally worth 3 grenades.
Now, I
Yeah.
thought that the grenades were just an item that you used automatically, or are there separate grenades that you can throw?
No, the grenades can be used as throwing items, or they can be used as defensive items.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the knife. You can use it offensively, or you can use it defensively. Which I like. It's a good mix of the defensive item concept from Remake 1 and extra equipable weapons and knives from Resident Evil 4 onward. Got him.
Let's do
Love the
this.
Magnum. The Magnum is awesome. The Magnum is is and has always been the best gun in Resident Evil, except for in Resident Evil 7. God damn it, Ethan.
Do they give you enough ammo in this one to use it?
Say what?
Do they give you enough ammo for the Magnum so that you don't have to worry about?
I've been gushing about that this entire playthrough, man.
Yeah.
It's so good to have enough Magnum ammo to actually use my Magnum. It's also good to have a Magnum that doesn't look fucking ugly, but, you know, guns, sometimes they look fucking ugly. I can't really complain that much about it. Well, that's that, boss dad. Didn't take very long, did it? When you know what to do, that boss is frickin' easy.
With the timing can be a bit stupid on the crate though.
Ada!
Not really.
Ada, where are you?
It's not even a timing thing. It's just shoot the thing until it stops moving and then hit the button. And you'll always have enough time to hit it with a thing. Just stand back and watch it go.
Get it out.
Hi, Ada.
Just do it. I can't walk like this.
You won't be able to walk with it out either. It's kind of going through your entire muscle.
At this point, would it be better to leave it in?
Why isn't Leon asking, what are you doing in a goddamn cocktail dress? Where did this come from?
can
You
do it
FBI,
myself.
really?
Relax, okay?
You sure you're not an extra out of a spy movie? Bond girl or something? I'm not James Bond. I could be James Bond if you want me to be.
What do we
so.
do now?
Saying.
Okay, you see, you
You're-
almost
you're-
had
you're- well, you're-
something
well,
going.
well, you're-
Oh, come on, baby. I'm at least better than Roger Moore.
Hey, you know.
You're not Timothy Dalton. Oh, you're one of those Bond fans. Never mind then.
I mean, that was in, like, what, 2 movies?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'd be better than James Bond. I'd be like James Bond, except I respect women. So, you know,
Now it's
yeah,
my turn.
James Bond stuff. You and me.
Realize
No.
that
Not giving me any signals here. Not sure if I should stop or...
Try out. What's your step?
There is some amusing interplay between Leon and Ada if you actually pay attention to series continuity. Like how in Resident Evil 4, Leon gives Ada some snarky advice about knives, and then in the second CGI movie, when Ada shows up, she's really good with knives, like she took his advice to heart or something. But apart from that, I never really felt much real chemistry between Leon and Ada until this game. So, retroactively, they made that whole relationship between these two characters much more interesting to me. And all it took was a few, you know, decently written scenes where they're actually showing some, you know, trust and
Ada.
companionship and...
Actual conversation.
Yeah, too.
Ada, you have that thing where you're like, why are you still walking in heels? I mean, like, just like take them off at this point.
That's a good point, actually.
Because she subscribes to the Claire Deering philosophy of feminine strength, where if someone points out that running around in a forest in heels is not a good idea, you just stand your ground and keep your heels on, because...
I don't even think it's that deep. I don't think she just wants to stand barefoot in the poo gas.
I mean,
Worse than it looks.
She has tights.
Both got one.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
you don't
Want,
wanna
I
get
mean,
your
they'll
tights
sit.
through
The
my
poo
poo
gas
gas.
will sink through the
Yeah.
tights. To be fair, but I mean, even then, I'd rather stand in the poo gas than
Okay,
wear the
you know,
heels.
if it doesn't really even matter, because the heels are open in the top, and if you're walking around in open top shoes in any kind of liquid, your socks are getting soaked. Okay, you know, so the shoes do nothing except make her walking more inconvenient.
Well, maybe the heel have like some makeshift blade.
I mean, that'd be neat, but I doubt it.
Also, with that dress, she couldn't get high enough to kick anybody with the heel if it had a blade in it.
Yeah, the lower part of the dress does look pretty tight.
It's like they kept the stupid spy dress in the game because they knew people would flip their shit if they excluded it from the game, but they didn't really.
Just have her wear her Simon Ada
They didn't really do a whole lot to make the dress fit with the rest of the art style, except to delay the reveal of the dress, so that Ada was in an overcoat for half the game, and then suddenly secret spy dress. Ooh. but it's like she's the only character in the game who hasn't had a significant costume redesign. Uh, and it shows. It really does.
She's wearing that the entire time in the original.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing
It's kind of weird.
The only thing they did to change her aesthetic in this remake was give her the FBI cover story and the overcoat and sunglasses to go with it.
Does Leon still think that she's actually an FBI agent at this point?
At this point, she does. At this point, he does.
I agree.
But
To be clear,
Well, sort of. I think he's doubting her a little bit.
he is doubting her a little. Yeah, it comes out in the conversation. They made Leon substantially less of a gullible ponce in this version, so.
Well, what? So then, what does Ada say she's doing in the original version? Then?
She's looking for her boyfriend. His name is John. Maybe you've heard of him. He was the guy who made his girlfriend's name his password in the first game.
if you can secure the G
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It didn't work as a cover story, but it was a nice callback.
Federal case. I don't have the authority.
Cool.
Ada was originally supposed to be like a scientist from Umbrella in the beta version. That's where she comes from.
You here. What if you're attacked? What if you
But then
die?
they went with Annette instead.
I don't know if Annette was already in the game. I just know that Ada was supposed to be like someone who worked for Umbrella who would tag along with Leon in his story. Resident Evil 2 beta was interesting. None of the interconnected story stuff was supposed to be part of it originally. You would start at the helipad as Leon, and you would start at the front door of the station as Elza Walker. And the two characters would basically never meet, but they both have different, people who accompany them on their escapes, and they would both play through specific parts of the story, I guess.
Yeah, it was weird. They got almost 90% of the way done through the game, and then
Yeah.
they hired in like an actual writer, and he said yeah, none of this actually works. You need to redo it.
They were also just
And so enough they did.
so they were also just dissatisfied with the game design that they had come up with so far.
And so they basically they got 90% of the way through a game and then just.
And then they
started over
scrapped
from
the whole
beginning.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it caused a massive delay for the game, but I guess Capcom really wanted Resident Evil to succeed because they went along with it. We got Resident Evil Director's Cut in the meantime to sort of tide us over, and apart from that, yeah, it's interesting.
We need something that'll really distract him from it. God, what is it? Soundtrack.
That's the DualShock
Okay,
edition.
go, delay the game. Delay the game.
That's the DualShock edition only. Original Director's Cut at least had the original soundtrack in it. But okay.
So wait, so there was the original version, then the DualShock version, then the Director's Cut version.
No, there was the Director's Cut and then Director's Cut DualShock edition, which was the third release of Resident Evil.
Okay.
And the DualShock edition was the one with the additional soundtrack and some additional modes and stuff. In terms of gameplay, DualShock edition is probably the best. It's got more content in it, but it also has the alternate DualShock edition soundtrack, which is good most of the time, to be fair. Not as good as the original soundtrack, but apart from ass trumpets in the basement, it's a decent enough soundtrack. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 beta. There's enough of it though that fans have been able to touch it up to a point where it's almost fully playable, but not really.
Oh wow.
So you can download an ISO for that and play it on a PS1 emulator. And
Is there did a build get leaked at some point, or are they just going off?
I
of
think
what we've
so.
been able to
Yeah, I
see?
think it was a leaked build.
It would have to be.
I think it was like an 80% build or something that they've developed and added to a little bit here and there. It's not a fully complete game by any measure, but it's an interesting thing to experience.
Beta stuff fascinates me.
Now all we
video
need is
games.
the paranormal Resident Evil 4 demo to get out.
Which paranormal Resident Evil 4?
The
The
first
first
there's
one.
the Hooked Man version.
Yeah,
The first one.
there's several of them. Resident Evil 4 had a really interesting development. I'm surprised.
As in it was going to be 5 different games, and they made it into 5 different games, but just under different names.
I'm surprised that the paranormal version of Resident Evil 4 didn't get retooled into its own side project, though. Would have been interesting if it did.
We'll call it quiet inclines.
We'll call it Silent Hill 4 The Room.
It would probably have been a better game than Silent Hill 4 The Room, to be honest. Silent Hill 4 has a great story. It sure is a game that has a great story. That's all I can say for it. I don't like the gameplay at all. I'm sorry.
That was the impression I got from it as well, but I can't say for sure.
The combat is so busted ass broken.
I was distracted by the stock sound effects.
Stock sound effects don't help. But, like, once you discover the hold the button down to do a stronger swing mechanic and realize that it gives you invincibility frames when you use it, the game basically might as well just give up and roll credits.
You see, I'm having a hard time understanding why a horror game would give you any amount of invincibility
I
frames.
would give you an answer to that, but I honestly don't know what the developers were thinking when they designed Silent Hill 4. Oh,
What?
there we go.
Yeah, I just ignore this room because you only have to come in here once.
I like the cafeteria. I'm glad they added a cafeteria to Umbrella's laboratory, so that we get some inkling that, you know, people actually live and work in this place, rather than...
Mr. Wesker, sir, it appears that our employees are having a problem. They're demanding that they be able to eat. What should we do about that, sir?
It's a pretty...
I have evolved beyond mere eating.
It's a pretty
Well,
classy...
get me an egg.
It's a pretty classy cafeteria. I mean, I could picture some decent...
For a work cafeteria, it's fine.
Yeah, well, it's better than my work cafeteria. And then I don't know what I was expecting out of a warehouse. But yeah. I mean, this place has a kitchen. I can see them serving actual meals here. That's a thing that would be nice to have.
Yeah, what you got cooking there? Looks edible.
It's like, you know you're moving up in the world when your workplace has an actual kitchen in it, rather than just, you know, expecting you to live on freezer food every day.
You know, when they gave you a microwave, even then, that's better than a lot of other jobs.
Microwave can easily be a cesspool in a working environment.
Why would you microwave fish?
My job has microwaves with like dials on them that set the time.
Dials
that set the time in increments of like 5 seconds for the first 2 minutes, and then 30 seconds for the rest of the timer. And I'm pretty sure they're pretty low-powered microwaves because I've had to like add additional minutes to the time on the instructions for a lot of food.
Minutes.
Yeah. So I'm not fond of my workplace, cafeteria. Not in the slightest. I do like the environmental storytelling on this guy, who we did indeed meet in the A scenario, where you actually like see the bullet holes in the bunk, and he was like hiding in the bunk writing his last crazed file, because that's what people who think they're going to die do. They write files for anyone who might stumble upon their bleeding corpse later, and they just shot him through the nap stall. And it's like, wait, why did they kill this guy? He's not Birkin. He doesn't have the G sample. Why did they do that? Well, apparently they killed everyone. Okay. But yeah, flamethrower regulator. The upgrade for the flamethrower is exactly where the one upgrade for the spark shot was found in Claire's campaign. I think the regulator just makes the flamethrower a little bit more efficient. So don't use the flamethrower until you have the regulator, I guess. Not that you should use the flamethrower on anything but the plant monsters anyway, but you know.
Hey, if you've got ammo for it sitting around, you might as well use it instead of not using it.
Well, I say using it on the plant monsters because the plant monsters only die permanently if you burn them. So saving up some flamethrower ammo for that just makes your time in the lab so much easier. Also, the flamethrower is good to have in the Tyrant boss battle. it does do a decent enough amount of damage to the goddamn thing. All right, grenades. Yep,
Grenades.
that's everything.
Grenades.
What were grenades doing in the cafeteria?
Do you want to know the answer to that question?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Well, I think he would if he hadn't answered the question. He asked the question, so.
Yeah, but you see, I ask questions that I don't want to know the
Oh
answer
wait,
to
I know
all
the
time.
answer. I know what the answer is. The meal for that day was like roast crow, and as we know, crows shit grenades. Resident Evil 4 taught us that. So,
Okay.
you know when they.
I thought if you wanted a little extra spice to your seasoning, hand grenade will spice things up real nice.
So, like, they were having, like, a party at the cafeteria, and they had roast crows for everyone, imported from Spain. And, they had this game going where, like, you open up your crow, and if you find a hand grenade in there, you win a raffle prize, or a raffle ticket, or something. Something with a raffle, because workplace parties are lame like that.
Putting a whole new meaning in the term explosive flavor.
The signal modulator in the lab for the B scenario is just found, like, right here, next to the dead guy, so you can start getting the things that require the signal modulator faster. In fact, I told a lie earlier when I said the lab was mostly the same. You can breeze through some parts of the lab quite a bit quicker because you get the signal modulator way earlier. And you don't have to backtrack to get this stuff, which is nice.
The signal modulator is the Batman Arkham hacky thing. Right?
It's
Kind of.
Kind of. It's used for repairing electrical outlets, apparently.
Yeah, it's basically so you can tell A, how much electricity is coming out of it, and B, what frequencies they're emitting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a good thing to know if you're trying to, have a bunch of different things going and don't want their signals to interfere with each other.
Somehow I don't think some random cop or some random college girl would be able to use that to fix the power in this place, though. Oof.
Down I go.
Oh yeah, fanny pack.
We are at maximum fanny pack
I
levels.
have like 6 of these now.
I've got so much fanny to put fanny packs on.
Leon, you're a nerd.
If I had any more fanny to put on here, you'd just call me Dick Grayson.
I don't get it.
Okay, you see,
The joke is that apparently every woman in the DC universe can recognize Dick Grayson by his ass.
Wait, what?
Because it's like the one feature all of his girlfriends really like about him.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So it started as a fan joke and it kind of just slowly slinked its way into the main
Every
continuity.
conversation pretty much goes as, yeah, it's Nightwing. Nightwing? I'm sorry, Dick Grayson. Oh, Dick Grayson. Oh, nice ass.
Basically,
That's it.
yeah.
The conversation just goes on.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong in some instances.
Well, that seems like a joke that they really should have fit into the Batman and Harley Quinn animated movie, but they didn't for some reason.
I feel like Batman would have a surprisingly disappointing ass for some reason.
That's why he
For
wears
all that brooding exterior, you're just pouty because you don't have an ass.
You don't really-
That's why he wears the cape.
And let's be real, that's the real reason why he retired in Batman Beyond, because he didn't have the cape anymore. And it revealed everything as I can't do this anymore.
I would like to note that also in the future timeline, Superman also doesn't wear a cape. which leads
Superman
to
have a period in the mid '90s where he didn't wear a cape at all.
Sort of.
Like somewhere after he died.
Yeah, black suit.
There was the black suit, like right after he revived, but he got his cape back the moment he got his powers back. There was also Blue Superman, Electric Superman, who didn't have a
Electric
cape.
Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then-
you have to trade one into the other Game Boy to get both versions, though.
And then they parodied that in the Super Sons book with Red and Blue John.
Comics are stupid. Why do we? What?
I was waiting for someone to
Why-
say.
You see,
why-
I don't read comics really anymore because it's like
It's expensive.
I wait until
It
the
is
I wait until
expensive.
the good storylines come out in trade paperbacks, and then I read them.
Then you also wait another 4 years so that they're on the clearance rack, and then you get them out.
No, I won't be
Well,
that
what
stingy.
they really Well, what they really should be doing at this point is releasing comics digitally on like their services like Disney Plus and DCU and crap.
Oh, they should be doing that, yeah, and they also... Individual issues need to die. I'm sorry.
Well,
Just release them as the
they
paperbacks,
do
pretty
release
much.
comics digitally, just Comixology.
Not week of.
Not week
That's the
of.
thing.
Oh.
No.
Oh, they don't? Huh.
No.
That surprises me, actually.
Well, I think some places do, but it's still, you have to buy them digitally. It's not like a subscription thing,
Oh, okay.
which is really what they should be at this point.
Yeah,
When even friggin' Shonen Jump is doing that, you feel a bit behind the times.
This is how you save.
Lewis, I heard a double tapping, but you're at
This is
7.
how you save flamethrower fuel while killing the plant monsters. You just use a little bit of fire to keep them lit on fire and wait for the burn damage to kill them. Don't just hold down the button. Okay, you don't need
holding
to,
it down does nothing.
It just wastes your fuel.
It just wastes ammo.
Wait until they fall.
You give them just enough to stagger.
Yeah.
They'll wriggle. If they get back up, just do it again.
Just hold your flamethrower out and watch them flail until they stop burning, and then just squeeze out a bit more fire to light them up again. It's surprisingly satisfying.
Shit!
a good flamethrower weapon in a video game is really fun.
Contra 3.
You know what? I never really was a big fan of the Contra 3 flamethrower because the range was so ass, and that's a game where I wanna kill things as far away as possible.
I'm more
because
speaking about the overhead parts.
Are we talking?
Oh, and the overhead parts? Yeah, that's great, especially when you have two
Ted.
of them and you can do the spinny thing, and then you kill everything basically on screen. That's great.
Ted, when you say the range was ass, are we talking Nightwing ass or Batman ass or?
Okay, so you see, we were talking about Superman not having a cape, right? So my idea is that Superman also does not have a very good ass. But he, unlike Bruce, because Superman, has emotional intelligence, he's able to get over the fact that his ass isn't perfect and is able to accept that and move on, which is why he stops hiding it with the cape. So I would say that it is a Superman ass as opposed to a Batman ass or a Robin ass.
I mean, not entirely. I mean, Lois in the show does comment that he has a nice ass.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what?
I
Then
forgot
never
about
mind.
that. Nice S, and Clark's just like, excuse me. And then she,
Yeah, Batman never gets those kind of compliments. Everybody just looks at the bat symbol and say, you're
and
bad
then
shit.
then she points at the logo, and he's like, oh, and that's a joke I didn't get when I
Wait,
was a kid.
that's a joke that they have in the animated
Yeah,
series?
yeah. Lois looks at the picture. She's like, "Nice ass," and Clark's like, "What?" And she says, "Right there," points at his chest.
Just.
I didn't get it as a kid.
There's a lot of weird innuendos. Like at one point, it's heavily implied Orion slaps Wonder Woman's ass.
So what you do though to sell that like some sort of like double humor for that is that you have him later show him in his undies and the back of the undies is a giant S on it.
Yeah.
How about that scene where Harley Quinn tries to seduce the Joker by telling him he should ride his
Right up
Harley?
your Harley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
The Joker has none of it.
Man, the Timverse shows were great.
That's my kind of risque humor I like without having to have explicit sex scenes and other shit like that, which is, my only problem with the DC animated movies as of now, because I think they're actually pretty good for the most part.
They do get a bit overly mature in places, and I think the only place that works.
Mature in quotes.
I think the only place that works is the Batman Harley Quinn movie, because they managed to balance it so that the jokes were mostly tasteful. Mostly, there was that scene. In the apartment with Harley Quinn and Nightwing, but they played it just funny enough that I was able to accept that in a way that I wasn't able to accept, like, say, the random Harley Quinn sex scene in Suicide Squad animated movie.
Doesn't she also fart in the Batmobile?
Yeah,
though?
she
Wait,
does. She does, and she does it on purpose because Batman won't pull over to let her go to the bathroom. So by the end of it, Nightwing is begging Batman to pull over, and Batman's like, "It's not so bad. Smells like discipline." But then she farts again, and he puts his hand over his nose, and there's just this look on his face. So they pull over, and she dances out of the Batmobile. It's just, I wouldn't call it tasteful, but I found it funny.
You know, if you're too old to laugh at a fart joke, then you're dumb. I don't know where I was going with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A conversation for another
that's
day.
yeah.
Okay.